Some claim that the age of a true gentleman is far behind us, but here at 284 Media, we disagree. He may appear in different guises today, but the values and ideals that make him a gent still stand. Gentlemen, aspiring gentlemen, and of course, our partners that hold us down. I'm Ron Grant. Welcome back to Season 5 of The Art of a Distinguished Gentleman, a show poised to help guide modern-day men into 21st century distinguished gentlemen. It doesn't always involve suits and bow ties, but raw, real-life lessons that translate to grounded, community-minded, well-rounded people. Thank you all for taking this journey with me. You know the name, Alton Bertie, is all about creativity and implements it in everything he does. Born and raised in the British Virgin Islands, he sports a wide array of passions from music to photography and expanding to technology and science. Hailing from a musical family, he was trained to play the saxophone at the BVI High School and then moved on to study film scoring and songwriting at the Berklee School of Music in Boston. In 2007, Alton produced Carnival Please Stay by Sharon Winchester, which won the International Groovy Soca Monarch competition in Trinidad. Now, during this time, he has worked with notable artists such as Destra Garcia, Bungie Garlin, Maxi Priest, RDX, Conscience, Mr. Killa, and Major Lazer, to name just a few. Alton now spends much of his time in the ocean, doing marine conservation and research with organizations such as Beyond the Reef and Association of Reef Keepers, while still creating hits for artists throughout the region. He can also be seen preserving beauty in the Virgin Islands through history and culture via his photography and videography, and being a true Renaissance man and polymath. Now we talk fulfilling passion, purpose, love for music, his love for ocean conservation, and much more. He is by far one of the best and brightest. We are honored to have him, a true Virgin Islands treasure, the one and only Alton Bertie. It's a conversation you don't want to miss. Season 5. Let's go. Gentlemen, it's time to discover That Guy Experience. We are a product line specifically catering to the men with beards. Our products are 100% natural and handmade right here in the BVI. Butters, oils, and cleansing products, all designed to add softeners, shine, and growth to your beard and hair. Visit us at Meraki Hair Clinic or thatguybvi.com and begin your journey as that guy. We are a life-changing experience. That Guy Hair and Beard Products. Welcome back, everyone. As promised, I am joined by the one and only, the man himself, Alton Bertie. Alton, it is such an honor to have you in the studios on the set of The Art of a Distinguished Gentleman. Welcome. Thank you for your time.
Thank you. It's an honor to be here, of course.
Cheers.
Cheers.
I didn't mention this in the introduction, but you hail from Longlook, straight out of Longlook.
Straight out of Longlook.
You have always been very proud of being from the Virgin Islands, but moreover from being in Longlook. Tell me about that space and time that you've spent and continue to spend in your community.
Longlook, well, being from there is very special to me. You know, we have great history in Longlook. The people are special. It's very community oriented. Mm-hmm. I love it. I love the people we grew up with, all of that. And recently we have been taking our own steps to ensure the betterment of the community. So we have this group, Longlook We Come From, and we have been making steps to make the community better.
Okay.
Just coming up with ideas. We've been meeting regularly, coming up with ideas to see what we could do. And recently, DDM reached out to us to offer their full slate of emergency training to help us in case of anything.
Okay.
The goal with that is, if anything happens in the BVI, let's say, God forbid, another event, Longlook good.
Okay.
We could take care of ourselves. We're prepared. So that's what we're working on. And other things in the community, because it is my belief that in any community, we all have to do our part. It's not just the politicians. We can't just run to the politicians for everything. Nothing against politicians, obviously. I try to be apolitical. But we have to do our part. We just can't sit down and wait for others to do our part for us. It's not going to work. So if all of us could do what we can do, then the community would be much better. And that's the whole goal behind of it. How can we help the community? We don't have a whole bunch of money. We have people that are interested. And you see people from all walks of life interested in helping out and giving back to the community, because if it's one thing, you have to realize that we all live in a community and we care about the community. You could be the richest man in your community. If your community is suffering, then them gonna look at you and say, well, boy, he doing good, I know. He doing good. I wonder why inside the house. So you want to ensure that your entire community is doing good.
Understood.
And
not just you.
Not just you. Not just you. And you get that from everyone. They're very interested. They want to learn. The interest that has been shown is phenomenal. And we're looking to better the community ourselves.
Wonderful.
As much as possible.
One of the things that I mentioned is that, in my opinion, you are a Virgin Islands treasure. And I don't say that lightly, because we take advantage the plethora of talent that we have here in the Virgin Islands. And it's unfortunate that only sometimes when persons make it on a large scale and they're on a huge platform or stage that we acknowledge that. But if you've never been told before, I am immensely proud of you. I am immensely proud of your talent and your gift and your ability to share it so willingly with us. I observed you in this year's Emancipation celebration, and you work hard.
Yeah, it's a very busy time for me.
What you to say, a bandman?
Bandman, sorry, a bandman or musician. Depending. I am not going to explain it. I've been asked to explain it many times, even by some bandmen / musician. That's one of those things. Yeah, I don't know, you don't know.
Yeah.
I'm not gonna explain it.
You either get it or you don't.
You either get it or you don't.
Okay.
All right.
Where did that love for music and appreciation for that world come from?
Well, my father's side of the family, they're all musicians.
Okay.
So, as I told my mother, eventually one of us had to become a musician. It just happened. So, that would be me. I became the musician. Music is one of those things that I feel I'm naturally talented at. But I am, I am also realizing that it's not just nature, it's also nurture. So I spent a lot of time practicing in high school. I played the saxophone during summer times where everybody was out playing and doing whatever kids did. I would be at the high school practicing. There would be hurricanes coming and I would be catching right from East End to go to the high school to lock myself in the band room, which doesn't exist anymore because of Hurricane Irma. And I would be in there practicing, hurricane outside blowing, and I'm inside blowing the saxophone. So it's nature, but it's also nurture. I spend a lot of time practicing. So when you see people are good at something, they spend a lot of time at it. Brent too. I always use Brent as an example because he was one that was ambitious and he harassed us. And I mean that in a good way, where he would come and ask us questions and he was very persistent. So when you see Brent out there doing his thing and he's good, it's not because it's not that he just woke up and he was good. He spent a lot of time on it as well. So that's where my music side came from. I also studied at Berkeley College of Music. Kamau Georges was very instrumental in my journey because he was at Berkeley when I was in high school. When he came back during his vacations, he would spend time teaching me the stuff. So by the time I got to Berkeley, I already knew most of the stuff.
Excellent.
Yeah. So it's a pass-on system. And I was speaking to Brent's father some time ago, and he was very thankful to me and Kamau because he was like, we took Brent. We didn't ignore him. We didn't push him to the side. We took him and look at where he is nowadays. So it's also a pass-on system.
Love it.
But when you do that, it's not anybody that comes and say, I'm interested. Because they're not always interested. This is why, and I know we'll talk about the sea and stuff. I didn't formally study marine science and stuff, but I got into it I met Dr. Shannon Gore, and I was interested. I swear I messaged that woman more than her husband. Hey, what are we doing this week? What are we working on this week? Things like that. And then eventually she's like, come, let's go. So then I ended up on the turtle research team, and then I got connected with Beyond the Reef with the coral treatment team. Well, actually the Ministry of, I think the Ministry of Environmental and Climate Change. They reached out to me via email to ask me if I wanted to be trained in treating corals. I was like, of course. And I got connected with Beyond the Reef, and the rest is history.
I love that you mentioned, and we're going to get to that conversation with, the marine aspect and conservation. But you said some things very powerful for me, is the dedication to craft, because you have a lot of persons in the creative space and otherwise as well who just think shit happens. And they just think that it doesn't just happen. It doesn't work like that.
There's no microwave recipe.
in order for you to be able to harness that talent, which is one of the things that I hope that our gentlemen who are watching would get from this, is that you have to dedicate the time,
Yeah.
the resources,
Yeah.
in order for whatever you're doing to be a success, and for
Yeah.
you, for whatever your craft is, to be successful. But most importantly, what you said, it's just not any and anybody
Mhm.
who comes and says, "Oh, I want to learn an instrument." You kind of have to test the waters a
Yeah.
bit
Yeah,
and allow
exactly.
that individual
Exactly.
to show you um, how dedicated they are to it. So thank you for those nuggets.
Yeah, definitely. That's my platform. I've been doing a lot of speaking, and the platform is about ambition. Ambition, basically going out and showing ambition. And I use it to, if you're interested in a girl,
Mhm.
she gonna know. She gonna know or she ain't gonna know. Because you're gonna show it.
Of course.
I did a talk at the high school right start program, and these are the kids that are leaving high school and stuff. And it's the same. It applies with whether you're interested in someone or a job or a career path, anything.
Mhm.
You're gonna know if you're in high school, you're interested in a girl. When that bell ring, you're gonna be by her classroom and say, "Hey, let me carry a bag for you," things like that. And it's the same thing I did to get into marine science. Whereas, like, I would message Shannon at the beginning of the week and say, "What are we working on this week? What are we doing? Anything I could help with?" Things like that. And it's the same thing with Kamal. Now, Kamal is always, and still to this day, willing to share information. But you have to show up as well, because it can't be that, oh, this person is willing to share and you don't show up.
Right. I want to touch on one thing though. The beauty of the then BVI High School music program.
Right.
You have worked with some really, really phenomenal local talent, from Ellison Flex Archer, Mr. Arthur Selwood. You mentioned Kamal Georges. Tell us about the musical fraternity in the
Right.
Virgin Islands for which you are a part of, and what that means to you.
I think that program was very foundational in all music and culture. We probably don't realize how much.
We took it for granted.
Yeah, definitely. Those, and it's not only the program, but also the ministry invested heavily in that program back in the day as well. But it's also the teachers, the dedication. Who was more dedicated than Mr. Selwood? As strict as he was, but that strictness is also necessary. It's also necessary. I have identified that I have two anxieties in life.
Okay.
And those are time and space, as I call them. It's a science thing. But time, because I always have to be on time, early.
You are always
Right?
early.
Always. And if I have to be somewhere, I have to be there. There's no excuse. Like, I do karate, and my Fridays for the past few years, I've always been at karate. So when it's a Friday, my body is like, we need to be here. So even if you say you want to be delinquent and do something, or your body tired, let me take a nap. My body's like, nope, we have to be here. We have to be here. So that's where Mr. Selwood comes in with discipline. That man was strict on time, but you understand the importance of it. I also got those from my mother too, because my mother, she has anxiety with time. I just realized that. Don't. Yeah.
The discipline, yeah.
Yes, it's discipline, and discipline. We'll probably talk about that a bit more, but it extends into everything. You get that from people like Mr. Selwood, Mr. Brathwaite, who was always willing to share stuff.
Andre
He's out there.
Brathwaite, yes.
Yes, Andre Brathwaite. Even Buckwheat, who's now he sings with Too Smooth.
Yes.
His voice is very smooth, but he also plays bass. I learned a lot of bass stuff from him as well. These people were very instrumental in everything that we did. The music community, and music is a part of our culture. It's heavily a part of our culture. I know I've been talking to Dr. Richard Georges about Lit Fest,
Yes.
which is coming up in November. And last year, I was on the panel for filmmaking, and I was like, how are you guys gonna have a festival for writers, but you don't have songwriters? Songwriters have been, in African culture especially, the key storytellers. And he was like, okay, well, you're gonna coordinate it next year. I was like, and I'm working on that. So
Excellent. Yeah.
so our culture, we out there, people like music like Vibe, OMG, Showtime, you name it. And you have to realize that there's a lot of musical background. I gave the story the other day, which I've never really told anyone, as to how I got to be a part of Showtime.
Okay.
It was at a band concert, a high school band concert, and Mr. Huggins, Junie Bandura, he was sitting next to me, and I couldn't hear anything because the music was playing. I'm paying attention, and he asked me a question. And when you can't hear anybody, you're just like, yeah, sure.
Yeah.
And so I said yes. Next thing, like a week later, he's like, oh, we have practice. And I was like, what are you talking about? So that's how I ended up in Showtime back in the day.
You said yes without knowing.
Yeah, it was a yes without knowing. But it was at a band concert. He was a trumpet player at the time. I was saxophone. And we have been, and the band program itself has been instrumental. I use Brent again. Brent went through that program. I taught him in high school. Kamal taught me, things like that. So we can't downplay those kind of things because
I agree.
They go into different aspects of our community.
Now, when we look at all that you are and all that you do, many persons often ask myself, and I'm sure you get the question, where do you find the time? I
Right.
personally believe that the 24 hours in a day is sufficient. I
Yeah.
think it is enough.
Yeah.
It is how you spend it and
That's
what
how
you
you
do with
spend
it. What drives your passion and purpose at the end of the day?
Firstly, I would say you make time for what's important. And that shows by your actions. I don't want you telling me that this is important, but you're not actually doing it. If you're telling me and not showing it, we go back to the relationship aspect. You cannot be with a girl and say she's important, but you don't spend time with her.
Correct.
You could tell her everything in the world and tell her, yeah, you're the most important
But
thing,
your
but you're not
actions
spending
are
time.
your
Right.
actions speak.
It's about your actions. So that's the first thing. I am passionate. I've always been passionate about the environment. I've loved like National Geographic, those kind of things growing up. I'm avid reader from small. I lived in a library after school, library basketball, because if you grew up in Eastern, you used to play basketball. Everybody used to play basketball in Eastern. Man like Bolo and stuff.
Okay.
You would watch them man flying through there and thing, and you strive to be like them. But it was library and basketball. So I've always been passionate about the environment. And my goal when I was a kid, I wanted to be a scientist, not a doctor, a scientist. And now when I travel and they ask your occupation, I put marine scientist. However, when you put that on your form, I've done musician as well before and things like that. When you put marine scientist on your form, you get a different look,
Interesting.
especially being black. They look at you like, okay, well, he kind of, kind of got a little brains or something.
When I put reporter, I swear I shouldn't put reporter.
You have to find something else then. But I've noticed that when you put marine scientist on, it's like you get a different kind of respect from it. And then you sometimes get questions about different things, and the fact that you could actually answer them, it amazes me. So you have to show what's important. It's about showing. Show me, don't tell me.
Got you.
And I don't know how I do it, honestly, but I find the 24 hours, it's sufficient. And I still find time to train. I have to put that in there. I do martial arts. I also do CrossFit and I do running. I still find time to train because that's important to me. Most people are forced to train because you go to a doctor and the doctor tell you it's either you train or you die.
Indeed. Yeah,
right?
yeah.
I'm not doing it for that reason. I actually enjoy it. For some reason, I tend to like pain. Like I have an elbow injury now I got on Monday from karate and it's healing, but I couldn't do CrossFit yesterday. So I sat and watched the class. That's that whole time and space anxiety thing. Like I'm supposed to be at CrossFit, so I'm there, even though I can't do anything. And I'm in there sad. Like I'm missing the pain. And when I walked in, some of the guys were walking and they were swearing. They're like, one of the girls told me, I hate this place because the workout was brutal. And I'm like, I miss the pain.
Wow.
I miss that pain. So you make time for what's important, including your health.
I agree.
Including your health, especially your health, because you can't do anything if you're not healthy. You could be rich. You end up spending all that money on getting better, being healthy, basic things. So
well said.
That's what it comes down to.
All right, viewers, we are talking, of course, with the man himself, Alton Bertie, a musical genius, but most importantly, in my opinion, a Virgin Islands treasure. We're going to talk a lot more, of course, karate and his love for the ocean. We'll be right back after a quick commercial break.
The wait is over. CCT Fire is here. Experience ultra-fast downloads, seamless streaming, and even more reliable connectivity on an all-new fire-blazing super-fast CCT Fiber network. CCT Fire. Bring it home and upgrade today.
Welcome back, everyone. As promised, we are chopping it up with the man himself, Alton Bertie. Before we left, for commercial, I have to ask you, what's fun for you when you are not doing all of that you're doing? What do you consider fun?
For me, and this is one of the things I'm campaigning. I sound like a politician, but this is one of the things I'm campaigning. I want to, in a way, redefine what we mean as fun.
Good. Yes.
And it's not going to work for everybody, but we have this mentality that fun is going out drinking, getting drunk. Like you would ask somebody, oh, it's your birthday.
What are you doing?
What are you doing for your birthday? I can get drunk. And I'm in my head thinking, How is that fun?
Yeah.
How is that fun?
It's definitely not to cut you off and not to make excuses, but it's something that has definitely seeped its way into our culture.
Definitely.
And I see the rants on social media. This one young lady, one time, she was just so irate. She was like, "It's my birthday, and all people want to do is drink or go to a bar," and she was confused, like, what else is there to do? So
I don't have anything against drinking.
Of course.
Last week I was in Virgin Islands with my good friend Ajit. He's a wine connoisseur, and he had this special wine. You can't buy it in stores. It's very old, and he got it straight from the manufacturer.
Okay.
And he wanted to share it, and I enjoyed it.
Yes,
but for me, it was also something where he knew about the wine, so he was able to educate me about it.
But that's a great example, because even in that, you are partaking in alcohol, but the experience surrounding it is much different.
Right.
Like you said, you're learning about the wine.
Yes.
He's able to teach you and have a full-on experience.
Yes, it's not just about the wine, it's the experience. I also met a master of wine. There's only a few of them in the world. And it's like they have to go through some extensive exam. And I think there's a few women in the world, maybe like 2 or something. She was one of them, and she taught how to be able to identify wines and those kind of things. I forgot most of it, but it's about the experience.
Correct.
So I have no issue against drinking,
I understand,
obviously.
yeah.
But we have to figure out what's fun for us.
You
For
have to
me,
redefine,
it depends. Fridays, I know Fridays people like the happy hour and that kind of stuff. For me, I like getting beat up in karate.
Karate, okay.
That's what I've been doing for the past few years, the past few Fridays. I go to class, and most likely we fight on a Friday night. That's fun for me on a Friday night. I go, I get my licks, I go home and I recover.
Got you.
I spend the weekend recovering, things like that. I like other things as well. Obviously, things with the sea. Swimming, diving, even most of the time I'm in the seas for research and conservation. It's fun to me. Most of the time you learn to dive, you do fun dives, you go and you see the sights and all of that. For me, I've learned that I like to do conservation and research, because we're under there treating corals, but you're also seeing the sights. And then I tend to treat corals upside down.
Okay.
And then you would look out and then you would see a shark just surrounding you. Just watching. The shark is just curious. What are these people doing? And you know, so you're still enjoying it. I like a really good conversation, really deep intellectual conversation as well. Working out is fun for me. Training. Like I said, I miss the torture from CrossFit. Running, reading, love reading. I spend a lot of time reading, especially recently, well, since I've gone into the sea, a lot of marine science papers. So we have been working with different scientists from around the world, people from like Oxford and some of the biggest shark scientists. And I recently went on a scientific expedition, sailing through the Caribbean, doing cetacean research. That's whales and dolphins, and some really awesome people. And I'm like, every time I have a conversation, it's like, send me a research paper to read, something. So like I would do karate on a Friday night, get beat up, come home, ice whatever needs icing, and then lie down and read some research papers.
Understood. I want to talk about the ocean and really your love that surrounds it. The fact that you spend so much time with marine conservation. How were you introduced to it, first of all? And for you, what is it like participating in being such a pivotal role? And I might add though, to the viewers, if you know Alton, it's a lifestyle. I offered him a bottle of water, and he brought his own water in his, because he's anti-plastic.
And also I'm about promoting local brands. So
Right.
This is I got this from CrossFit Castaway. So
You
the
live
stuff,
it. You live
yeah,
it.
I live it. I love this bottle, but I have a thing for water bottles, which is weird.
Okay.
But local bands as well. I got the Loom bands for my Apple Watch, and Truffle. I wanted to wear a Truffle shirt on one of the nights for festival, the white one with the new logo. I actually like the shirt. Things like that. And when I was traveling on the road with Mr. Killer, I would end up like every weekend I was traveling. I would be here during the weekend. Weekends I would travel. So I would end up like Paris one week, Toronto the next week, Guyana, places like that. And I would always make sure that I wear some BVI, something, somewhere.
Awesome. Yeah.
So my passion for the sea, like I said, I started when I was small. I wanted to be a scientist. I thought scientist back then was somebody that was involved in everything, but obviously there are different arms of science. but I was always passionate about nature. I love my walks, especially late nights when there are less humans. And then I learned to dive. How I got into diving was Kim
Hewish.
Hewish. She is the president of the scuba organization. She was here. We did the interview for Rec Week.
Lovely
and
friend.
she just messaged me on Facebook one day, hey, you want to learn to dive? And I was like, yeah, sure. Not even thinking about it. But then I couldn't even swim. So that hit me afterwards. She hooked me up with Rika. Rika is one of the nicest people. She's from Romania, Transylvania. The only person I know from that. I remember that because that's Dracula.
Okay.
Who was actually Dracula was actually real. I watch a lot of history documentaries, but he wasn't a vampire. Anyway, Rika taught me to dive. Now, I have a joke with Rika. It's like, I am probably her worst student and also her best student.
Interesting.
I was a first student, so this is her first time teaching, and I was horrible. I couldn't even swim, nothing.
Okay.
So I was a worst student, but now the things that I'm doing, I'm like, yeah, I'm also your best student. So Rika is now at Sail Caribbean. So she sent me there to Sail Caribbean, and the guys there, I think Jason Hart, he's part of the Sea Turtle research team. He one day asked me if I wanted to join in on a dive to see the stony coral tissue loss disease treatments. That's where I met Dr. Shannon Gore. We went out diving, and I, from then, started harassing Dr. Shannon Gore. Amazing woman. So she would invite me out. Every week. We would go out, do turtle research. The first time I actually went out with her on turtle tagging, we caught one turtle that had fibropapilloma, which is a tumor on it. So then we had to rush back and take it to the hospital. Well, not the hospital, the vet. We had to create like a thing for it, and we raised funds to get a laser to remove the tumors. And that was an experience. So I've been doing that. And then, like I said, one day, the ministry, I think it was Agile, reached out to me via email to do stony coral tissue loss disease training, which I did. And I did that with Beyond the Reef. That's where I met Chris Jordan, who's a very interesting individual. Very interesting. One of my favorite people in life.
What is the one thing when you reflect on your journey with ocean conservation? What is the one thing that you would like Virgin Islanders to know, understand, and most importantly, pay most attention to as it pertains to our ocean?
I think firstly we need to all learn to swim. I mean, that's coming from somebody who just learned to swim like 4 years ago.
It's a good one.
Yeah, we all should learn to swim. We're surrounded by water. There's pleasure in it. You go to the beach, instead of just going to the beach to take a selfie, you could actually go in the water. You could actually go in the water and swim.
People actually go to the beach.
Yeah, people go to the beach and, they put on the nice bathing suit and they go to take a selfie and it's like, yeah, but you know, I have a joke with someone and it's like, every time she at the beach, she taking a selfie at the beach, but she in the bush.
Interesting.
She right next to the bush right there. It's like, go in the water, have some fun in there. So swimming, most importantly, we need more marine scientists. I envision HLSCC becoming one of the biggest and best marine schools anywhere. I could see it happening. They have some awesome staff there. I know Laura's up there. Laura's one who she taught me stony coral tissue loss disease. She's still running the project, and we've been out diving, treating corals like every week. We go out once or twice a week. She saved me a couple of times because I ran out of air. Whenever I partner with her, because when we dive, we have buddies. Yes. Whenever I partner with her, for some reason I run out of air. Usually not my fault. Usually.
Okay.
She's awesome. She's at the college now. You have Susan. Susan is a bird expert as well. She sends me different research papers from the BVI to read, things with birds and the Virgin Islands cookie and those kind of things. So we need more marine scientists. It's fun. It's very fun. I mean, you get to be in the sea. You get to be in the sea. You get to walk through town salty as well. Because usually when we come back, it's down Village Key, and then I'm walking through town, handling banking with salt water. I mean, those kind of things. But yeah,
so we have some work to do then, essentially, as a community in fostering an environment.
I would say I have to shout out Stacy Buddha with his program with YEP and Sea Turtle Aquatics. They have a dive group. They've been teaching kids to dive, which both of my nephews learned to dive under him with Sail Caribbean. The diving group is the Groupers, and they go out once a month at least to dive. But you have some kids that are interested in it. So the next generation, there's hope. Some kids are my nephews, I call them cleanup superstars, because every time Beyond the Reef has a cleanup, they're there. They have their Beyond the Reef outfit and that kind of stuff, and they're there. They're in the pictures, and they're very interested. Their father is the same way. He's a sea guy as well. Apparently, I'm the only one who didn't come with the sea genes, but I found it. It came. Yeah. But you have some kids coming up in the next generation that we have some very good potential.
Wonderful, wonderful. Alton, I want to take this opportunity to commend you and simply tell you how much we appreciate you and your gift and your ability to, despite all that you're doing, share it with the Virgin Islands and really help us to understand not only the power of music, but the power of the beautiful oceans that surround us. You are by far a 21st century distinguished gentleman. We commend you and we appreciate you so much. Thank you for your time.
Thank you very much. I feel like I just got like an official title.
We just need to put we just need to give you a medal.
Yeah. You need like a medal or something.
I got you.
Thank you very much. It's an honor, and like I said, we all should just do our part. Indeed. That's what it's about, whatever that part is, big or small. That's what it's about.
Viewers, that is it for this episode. Of course, we were joined by the multi-talented and multifaceted, the incredible Alton Bertie in season 5. It's been a pleasure. See you next week. Bye-bye.